Welcome to Design Diary, the podcast where you get to look inside my board game design notebook as well as what's going on inside my head. We look at a new word each day from the sense of mechanics, tone, theme, or inspiration for a full game. Today's word is
nonchalant, having an air of easy unconcern or indifference. Which I feel like that definition's a little on the chalant side.
Yeah, it doesn't concern you with what an air is or...
And you know what's really interesting?
You can have easy unconcern. Can you have uneasy unconcern?
That's what I started to say, and I messed it all up. But I looked into it, and there is no word. Chalant is not a thing. Nonchalant is.
Interesting.
And that's what really stuck with me was what are these things where we have a non-version of, but not a version... There's no positive version.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to kind of try to design around that, and that's a weird thing. Let's say in a game where we're all rolling dice or whatever, and somebody gets the no reroll. You get the non-reroll, but reroll isn't even a thing. So I was like, how can that even work? So I'll tell you where I landed with it.
Yes, please.
Was before the final landing, I wanted something where you didn't care about timing, but timing mattered. And the person who cared the least about the timing, essentially you had a minute to do something, and whoever went last, but still got their thing done within the minute, was the most rewarded of the group. So everybody's going to get something. Let's say we're just building a stack of blocks or whatever. Whoever starts last gets the most bonus points or whatever. And then also you get points if you complete it. So then I started looking at there's a game where you're trying to get sets of cards, and the dealer is dealing one set per player, just dealing them out face up, but on top of each other. And you know what you need in your set, but the last person to take a set gets rewarded the most, and then you have to build your set. You have to. So your clock there is the deck. You want to take take a set as late as possible, but you also want a set that's going to be functional for you. It's going to have the stuff that you want in it. So forgetting all this, the last thing that I settled on, which kind of took a little bit of all of it, is nonchalant, the word game. And the reason it's a word game is because I got hooked on that word where there's no positive version.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is that we're going to have a category out, and it's going to say, recreational activities. And then we're going to have the entire alphabet out, letters of the alphabet, maybe multiples, maybe singles. And every turn, someone gets to remove a letter from the pool, and they say that they can still make a word that is one of those things. And we're going to go around the table, and everybody's going to pull words out and say they can still make it. And if someone thinks that the person who did the last pull can't make a word after they pulled their letter, they can stop the round, challenge them. If they do their word, they're going to win. If they don't, I think everybody else should get some sort of reward too. But you keep going until there's very few letters left, and you can still make your word that fits into that category. And I like the word nonchalant as the name because it has that kind of meditative, I'm waiting to see what happens. It also has that there's the there's no positive. You're constantly removing. There's never anything going back into that system of letters.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So that's pretty much
it. That kind of push your luck system is present in, I think it's just a P and Pig game called Riddlecraft that I played over the weekend with my family, where each card is a kind of step of a riddle. Like, I am not alive, or I am bigger than a house. And everyone has these kinds of categories, and they play them to the center. And so this nebulous thing in the center is larger than a house. It is not alive. It has a handle, but someone can lift it. And so you are either playing a card or challenging the person beforehand to name something that matches those descriptions. For sure. That's it's super neat. I really enjoyed it. So I would definitely play that word game.
Yeah, it has a little bit of Word on the Street. Have you played that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Word on the Street, the whole thing about Word on the Street is just some letters just become useless to you. So I was thinking about that as well.
Interesting. Well, it seems like more often than not, we have a lot of words that have to deal with bluffing, and this one didn't necessarily have to deal with bluffing, but I still ended up doing a bluffing game anyway. So that's usually how I
thought of poker face as like a key word in this.
Okay,
So
all right.
That's kind of along those lines.
So in some of the playtests for my game, The Wrong Hands, a lot of people would either make a gesture that they're looking at a card without actually grabbing at it, just to gauge the reaction of someone who is protecting that card, to see like, oh, which card do they value the most, even though I haven't made my decision first. And so I wanted to base a game around that, where specifically it's a pick up and deliver game where you have goods across the board, but some goods are illegal other places. So you could have a truck full of shoes, but in one county that shoes are illegal. But in order to get the most points, those illegal goods are super valuable. So at some point you would want to deliver to that place. And so players have checkpoints stationed all across the board that they own. And if you pass through a checkpoint, your truck gets inspected. And so that's when the scale would zoom in, and you literally set up your truck from behind a screen, either hiding stuff underneath tires or in roof or in seats and that kind of stuff. And you have a kind of truck board that you hand over to the other person. And they have a pawn that kind of walks around the truck. And so they have a certain amount of actions or a certain amount of time that they can spend in each section to kind of either inspect the goods or do an even more thorough search, which you don't get to look at as much, but is more likely to hide bad things. And so like, if you just inspect the goods, like it'll cost one action to inspect each good. But obviously that's the cheapest move, so why would they hide it there? And so you just move your pawn around and flipping tiles over just to see if you can find anything bad. If you find anything bad, you get to take it. If their truck appears to be clean, you can go right through the checkpoint. So it kind of has a little bit more spatial element than like Sheriff of Nottingham.
Yeah.
And I really like the pick up and deliver aspect, because then you can decide who is going to look at your truck, because you could take a longer route to go to someone who it appears to be a little bit more lenient in their inspection policies, or if you have a deal with them that you'll let them through your checkpoints if you'll go through theirs. So yeah, I liked that one.
Yeah, that's really neat. Like, the destination causes a ton of that bluffing. Like, I'm going to go down this road, which is like, that's the quick way. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. I have no idea like what you would be smuggling, because it's probably not shoes in this day and age.
You got to do that thing where you just make it, it's goblins, it's fantasy.
There we go. Fantasy pick up and deliver. I can do that.
That's cool. That's fun. This was a good word. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it.
It was
good stuff.
Inspiring. All right, cool. So that was quick, really quick. We got to the point, and we have two potential games.
We had good, solid stuff.
That's good. All right, well, we'll see what happens next week then.
All right. Talk to you later. See ya.